It's time for the Young United People podcast with Nysha and Jayden.
Hey guys, and welcome to our first
Yupisode.
I'm Nysha.
And I'm Jayden, and this is the Young United People's Yup podcast, where we talk about any and everything Jesus related and UCJCR related. I'm super excited to be here with you guys every single Friday as me and Nysha just talk.
Yeah.
And you guys get to see what's been our relationship for a good while. You know, we'll just have these long-winded conversations about Jesus and life and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so getting the chance to do this is super exciting. How about you? How are you feeling?
Well, I am very excited.
For sure.
But at the same time, thinking about all the other responsibilities, it kind of seems a lot because, I do stuff at church. I sing, I dance, I'm in a choir, I'm the youth president, I'm on the NERC exit, and then I have school and work. So thinking of all of that, I have to find balance and to work from there and, try not to get burnt out. How about you?
It's basically the same thing. I am my schedule is just all over the place.
Yeah.
On any given day, I'll have work, school, and church happening. Because, for example, full-time student, and I don't even go to school in the parish that I actually live in.
Oh.
So you have to account for traveling as well. And then I have multiple jobs, multiple hustles, because, the tuition isn't going to pay itself. So I have that going on as well. And then at church, I'm pulled in a million directions. You sit on multiple committees, you're part of different auxiliaries, and you're working with different people in different types of ministries. So it's a lot. It's a lot. We're just figuring out everything,
So I can speak from the perspective of having to commute and stuff, but luckily I was kind of closer to where I went to school. But even now when I'm boarding on campus, it still feels like a lot because every day it just feels like you have to get up, you have to find time to do schoolwork, work, and live all at the same time, and it just gets very overwhelming at times.
And then even personal time. I remember when camp just finished and our friend group basically became a thing for real. We had so much time. And I remember do you remember me in the early days being guys, enjoy it. It's summer because the minute school restarts
school.
And
that's what it's been doing.
Yeah, school humbled us so quickly out of nowhere. It's been crazy. And so personal life also kind of gets pushed to the side. I don't text my friends as much as I was even a couple weeks ago because of how hectic my schedule is. And it's the same thing with my personal time with God. And so I even find for me that most of the times that I get to be in the word and stuff like that, it's in corporate spaces. So the Bible studies that we've been doing together and the devotions and stuff like that, that's when I get the time because I feel I have to show up for those. And then my one-on-one time just gets shifted to the side, But I'm working on it. I'm not being
It's okay. Yeah. I'm getting the word in anyway.
Yeah, and I find myself as well, and I was saying this to you earlier, that I tend to do my devotionals on the go. So I'll be on the bus to school, I'll do my devotional on my way to rehearsals. It's usually when I'm on the road, I'm doing my devotions. And I wanted to get to a place where it's no, don't call me. No, I'm not how I have an hour set for this meeting. Yeah. I have an hour set for devotion. And I'm trying to work on that. It hasn't been easy. Because when it comes to church stuff, the only person that gets affected when we don't do the work is ourselves. So with school, if I don't do the assignments, then I don't get this degree. Yeah. And if I don't go to work, I don't get paid. But I can just choose to not lead praise and worship. And I can choose to not preach. What are they gonna do? Come to my house and drag me out? And so I don't want that won't happen. You know, like people might be mad about it, but people don't be mad any other week. Yeah, you know. So, for me, it's like I have to be like 10 times more intentional when it comes down to church stuff and when it comes down to spiritual stuff, because ain't nobody gonna hold me as accountable as I can hold myself.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly about all we do for God or personal time with God getting thrown out the door, because we just feel like we have to attend to all the other things that life throws at us.
Yeah.
But in reality, and what I've come to realize is that whenever my relationship with God isn't as closely knit as it was before, everything else is going to seem like it's all over the place. I felt the most peace when I'm in my word and communing with God all the time.
Honestly, I get that for sure. And so like our general schedules, because at the end of the day, the things that like you and I at least that are like taking up a lot of our time are constructive things.
Yeah.
And the constructive things are like there's things that we need to get done, you know, but they get in the way of each other. Because sometimes like I can't make it to classes because I need to work, and I gotta like move my work schedule because I have this church rehearsal to do, and so it's like everything has to be sometimes pushed around because like, and I think one of the greater things is that for me, a lot of my jobs are flexible, like 2 out of the 3 that I do are flexible. But even with the flexibility, there's still like specific time frames that I need to get stuff done. And so like figuring that out isn't always easy, but like I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to hold on. But like on the topic of like ministries and stuff, like, because it's like, yeah, work, yeah, school, yeah, church, but even in church, there's like a million ways you're being pulled. So what exactly are you doing in church?
So as I mentioned, you know, I sing on the choir, I am the youth fellowship president, I'm on the NERC executive, which is on a broader scale. But let's talk about being the president for a while, because you know, coming out of COVID, everything was all over the place, and a lot of the youth fellowships, they were kind of in shambles.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in church one day, and it's something that always came to mind. I wanted to restart the youth fellowship because I feel like growing up in the church and being a part of the fellowship, I felt very pushed. I felt pushed to have the youth currently in church experience what I had when I was growing up in church. So I spoke to Chanel and Shamara, they're my 2 friends. I spoke to them and I was like, guys, I feel like we need to make something happen. And we talked to our youth advisor, Auntie Happy, and we've been trying, but it isn't as easy as we thought it would have been.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things aren't being received the way we thought they would have been. And then a lot of times it just feels like all of this is in vain because we're not seeing the fruits of our labor. So, but at the same time, I can't shrug the feeling off of being intentional about putting time into trying to make it work. So that's one of the things I'm working really hard on and trying to just speak to them, to call them in and make them know so there's always a place for you in church. We have things readily available. We want to help you grow, you know? So that's a big part of who I am in the church space.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I think for me, it's kind of like the opposite. Because like bouncing back from COVID, like my congregation like snapped back. Well, not my congregation, my youth group. Like, congregation is that's a conversation for another Yupisode, you know. But my youth fellowship like bounced back, and I think one of the reasons that made it so easy for us to bounce back is because youth ministry in my context is like you're in everything. You know, the youth, and especially we have like a strong creative arts ministry, I believe, so that the youth get to come up and they dance and they sing and they do drama and they do speech and stuff like that. And there's stuff to always keep them engaged. We have a sports ministry and stuff like that. So I guess it works in that context, but it gets overwhelming because then there's a work to do. And then with young people, it's like you know, the more mature folks, I don't want to say older, but the more mature folks, like they're very content in what they're used to, you know, like so they love the traditions and stuff. But young people are kind of very different. They're very like, oh, we want something new every single day. That's like TikTok mentality. Like it's just always something new that I need to see. So it's like always trying to make it fresh and do something more. Like it can be overwhelming because sometimes like you just like pulled off something amazing that God allowed you to do.
Yeah.
And then by next week, you're trying to do something else because you want to keep the momentum going. So it can be overwhelming, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, in all of this, and I'm thinking and I'm reflecting, and the story of Mary and Martha comes to mind. So the story of Mary and Martha, basically, you know, Jesus is going to Bethany, and he wants somewhere to stay. So he's up in friends, Mary and Martha, and he goes to stay with them. And Jesus is in the living room, I presume, with Mary, and they're just chatting, having a jolly good time. And Martha comes out from around the corner, and she goes, "Mary, why are you here? Like, come, I need to help me, like, cook this food, tidy up the little room so that he can sleep in there tonight." Like, I mean, it's not actually in scripture, but like, that's how I assume the conversation went. You know, like, Martha was upset. But the thing about Martha is she was preparing the place for Jesus. It was like she was doing something good. But what Jesus said to Martha was, yo, like, Mary has chosen the better of two things. You know, so Mary took the opportunity to actually sit with Jesus and keep Jesus' company, whereas Martha was just trying to prepare the place for Jesus. They're both doing something good, something that's of value, that I'm sure Jesus appreciated both of it. But I think what Jesus was trying to say to them in the moment was like, at this time, like, this is what you should be doing. This is what you should be focusing on. And it's all about the balance of it all, striking the balance, because like, going to work is important because we live in a context that we require on being financially well off, you know, and getting educated is always a good thing. And there's nothing wrong with your academics, and you're so eager to serve and do so much. So working in church is okay, but like when you have so much going on, you're going to have to exercise wisdom. You're going to have to lean on Jesus for him to guide you as to what is relevant and appropriate for any given moment, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's very important to understand that when you have a lot of things on your plate, prioritizing certain things at one point doesn't mean you're being neglectful of the other things. It's just there's a time and a place
for everything. But like, a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't get that. And you know, I'll be honest as well and say sometimes I'm on the end of the people who don't get it. Because I remember when I was in my teens and we had like CSEC and we had like CAPE and stuff like that. And even now, when I have exams, like, I'll literally be on a ministry thing studying. Like, I remember there have been days where we're going to sports day and we're all like cooped up in the back of the bus studying for exams. You know, I remember that. But then like these days, like the youths will be like, "Oh, I'm not coming, I'm not doing it, I have to study." You know, and I'll be like, "But we made it work," you know, but like that's what they feel like they need to do for themselves. You know, and I have no place to shame them for doing that because like they're striking the balance the best way they know how. So how do you strike the balance?
Well, you know, Jayden, it's still something I'm trying to work out because a lot of the times I just feel like I'm cruising. I just feel like I know everything is going to work out. That's literally what I tell myself. Everything's going to work out because it just has to work out.
It has to.
So even last year, like when I was just put in the position of being on the NERM steering committee, we were out doing plannings and all of that, and I had work. I had schoolwork. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe this is a Nysha thing. I know. But I always felt like it had to work out. So a lot of people don't think when I tell them that I feel unprepared for exams and stuff, they don't feel it's valid because of the results. But a lot of the times I just exist.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, this has to be my reason. Whenever it is that I'm doing stuff for God, I'm not gonna make me flop in the other things. Because if you look at the way I study and do stuff for school sometimes, you'd be very concerned.
Yeah.
You'd be very concerned. But in doing stuff for church and knowing all the responsibilities I have to do, I'm still trying to find a balance.
Same. And I think for me, no more than ever, it's like a big struggle. Like prior to 2024, like I felt like I had a handle on things. So much so that I have friends who would see me showing up and getting stuff done, assuming that Jayden just had the time.
Literally.
When really, it's just like, my mindset is sacrifice, and being smart about the sacrifice. But now my schedule is like times 10, and so now it's more of a struggle. And I've never really had to truly deal with a struggle, so now I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
And it's a process, but it's just very important that I don't let anything suffer through the process.
Yeah. So while it's important to find a balance in schoolwork and stuff, I also feel it's very important to have balance within the church space. And finding balance could also look like resting and stepping back from some of the things that you're doing. So I remember...
You can't just say that, guys. Because within the church, you're like, yo, you gotta keep going.
Yeah.
You better sing those songs. You better dance that dance.
Literally. And I feel like a lot of the time it can feel very routine, or you feel like you're obligated to doing those stuff. So I remember in 2022, summer, I had to take a step back from doing everything in the church space because I felt like it was very overwhelming. I felt like I was just doing it for doing its sake at that point. So for the summer, I went away, and that gave me the chance to reflect and to relax and to re-find my love for everything that I did in the church space. So I remembered why I loved singing. I remembered why I loved dancing. And coming back, it gave me fresh perspective and a newfound drive to do whatever I'm doing and to minister and to not just sing because we can sing or dance because we can dance. So I feel like resting is very important. Finding balance within the church space as well.
Yeah, I agree totally. I was in this weird phase last year where I felt like I lost my passion for dance ministry, which is wild coming from me.
Very wild.
Very wild. And so basically, like, between like January to July, I have maybe danced 3 times. And yeah, because I just didn't have it. I didn't have the energy. I didn't have the passion for it anymore. And I also didn't want to do it because it's a Jayden thing to do. Because for me, it was never a Jayden thing. It was a God thing. Yeah. And if my heart wasn't in it, then I would be doing it because people expected me to do it. Right. And less because I'm doing it unto God. And so I took a step back from it. Then we went to camp, and I had to lead. We were volunteering at camp. And so I had to lead one of the workshops. And in leading the workshop, I don't know if it was just because it was like a new set of people and seeing how many of them were like so excited to do it and wanted to learn and stuff like that. I don't know what it was about it, but I remember just doing it and I was like, okay, God, I see you. I see you.
And let's talk about camp. I remember being at camp because, I went to I went to your workshop, big workshop.
Okay, oh, yeah. Because Jesus.
I remember you having an injury.
Yeah.
Right, you remember that? And despite having the injury, you pushed through and you you ministered.
Yeah, thank you.
You ministered.
And it's like, and it's so crazy because I think prior to even that week, I had to sit down because I wouldn't have wanted to do it as badly, but like it just revitalized something in me. And so I started teaching again, and it's been good. I will say that again, I'm kind of going through that thing. However, just like you went away to like get like a fresh perspective, like I went away as well, and while I was away, I felt like God was like just talking to me and like leading me into new things. And that's like the beauty of rest, like taking a step back, because it gives you the opportunity to hear God's voice in like a different way and more clearly, because I know I feel like He's calling me to new things that I'm excited about. And it's also a process, which is something that I'm also like, because with dance ministry, it was very fast-paced, very quickly. And so like one night I wasn't like fully dancing, but then by the next day, like I was traveling the whole island dancing and stuff like that. But with this season, He's calling me to things that are taking time. And so I'm also resting and appearing his place. But we've talked about our experiences. How can we like practically rest? Like how can we be smart and very intentional about taking a step back, even in the midst of, because a lot of the times when we take a step back, people perceive it as more than rest. They probably feel like as something you're going in your life.
Yeah,
like,
you don't got not good anymore.
Like, is there beef?
Yeah.
You should probably come to the altar.
Yeah.
You know, go and talk to pastor.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's just like,
I'm tired.
I have this spiritual responsibility, but like my body cannot manage it right now. I need to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, but how do you be smart about that?
I feel like coming to the realization that God calls us to be vessels and to serve.
Mm-hmm.
But in being able to serve, you need to be filled to serve. You need to be filled to pour. And coming to the realization of the fact that rest is important and vital for survival.
Yeah.
You will have an appreciation for it and understand that it is necessary for you to function at your best. Whether it is that it looks like sleeping, even though sometimes when I'm trying to sleep, I think about the work, but you know, we're working on that. Even if it looks like sleeping, it looks like having a chill day with your friends, it looks like watching your favorite movie, because I know a lot of the times we don't get the time to do that. But you have to be intentional and working on it about rest.
Oh, yeah. But like also, it's like, your heart in the season of rest is very important. Something about that one, right? But no, yeah, for real, like, because sometimes we only rest when we're fed up.
Let's talk about it.
And it's like, you know, we can't go to them church people here no more, I'm not doing this. And I'm not doing this foolishness. And it comes from that place. And so now it's more about you per se. And it's coming less of, I'm preserving myself so I can fulfill my calling. It's less about that and more so coming from a place of, oh, I'm probably going to be spiteful. Or I'm being vindictive towards the ministry without even thinking about it. You know? But rest is important because when we think about even Elijah, like, man was fed up. Man was tired. You know? And he was allowed the space to rest. And
go take a nap.
Yeah, go take a nap, man. Go sleep, go relax. But you gotta get up and do the work.
Yeah, afterwards.
You know, and so it's like, it's just to be also mindful of why you're taking the rest. Are you taking the rest because like you feel like, oh, I mean, all of the work, so it's time everybody else learn how to do it? Or are you taking the rest to like prepare yourself to go back to continue working? Right? So it boils down to the mindset and the attitude during the time of rest. And the rest also has to be smart because like God can't be calling you to a 5-minute rest and it's 1 year now since you don't know where God will call you for it. You know? So you also have to be very mindful of that.
Something that my friend brought to my attention recently is like how I deal with a lot of the things in my life. Sometimes I ignore them. And that's not very healthy. Because in the long run, it's going to come back to bite me. So one of the things that he recommended was journaling just because. And not journaling when I feel overwhelmed. Yeah. And I found that that's kind of how I reset and express myself instead of holding it in. Because and I think it's healthy. And I've realized it's healthy. So I'm trying to work on that. Because if you feel very clustered up here or very overwhelmed, you aren't going to be able to act in the best of your capacity. So that's one way I recommend kind of unpacking all the feelings that you have and just opening yourself for God to pour into you, to be refreshed and to be renewed, to go out and work.
And communicate to rest as well. Because like, and that's something that I don't say life has to teach me the hard way, but taught me the hard way. Because I'm not the type of person where like, when I'm like fed up or I'm tired, I'm just lock off my phone.
Yeah, you do.
And everybody, and like, it's everybody else's responsibility to deal with it. Like, I'm resting. You know, and so I'm learning like I need to have a more gentler and more empathetic approach to my self-care. You know, it's a learning process. Just be mindful. It's just like, because just imagine like I don't even know like the right analogy to use. It's like a group work. And when one person doesn't carry their weight, then it falls on other people. But like it's okay for it to fall on other people if you give them a heads up.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, okay, hey guys, I'm on 100 right now. And I'm gonna need a 5. And people can be like, okay, you can take your 5 on Friday. And it gives everybody time to like can take time because I know you are busy.
Yeah, everybody going through their
everybody going through, and we're all tired. We're living in a state of capitalism, so we're all in grind mode, and we have to be striking the balance between like having to make this smaller, but also to take care of our spiritual well-being.
For sure.
And so we're all going through. So you have to be mindful as well of the people who are going to be affected by your absence. You know, so it's something that I'm learning. So practically speaking, adjust your emotions attached to needing the rest, adjust your attitude, but also be mindful of the other people that may be affected during your rest. But definitely rest. Rest is very important. Yeah. But you can't serve the people if you're dead.
Right.
But how do we like combat people's perspectives though? Because like again, it will get into your head. Like I remember I had an experience where I got confronted with like somebody feeling like I wasn't doing enough in a particular ministry, which it kind of turned out to be like they couldn't see the work because they didn't understand what my work was. So you know, but like that was just a misunderstanding on their part. But it did something to my psyche. And so I'm the type of person who goes above and beyond. And I've never really thought much of it before, but then I found myself like intentionally doing it because like I was like, oh, I don't want people to think like I'm not pulling my weight because I need to pull my weight. And then I got in my head about it, and then ministry became overwhelming.
Yeah, that's what I was
and it made me begin to hate it, and it affected me like not only on like a church level, but like personal life, and it did destroy my mental health from it. You know, so. How do we like get to a place where we're like, okay, yeah, the outside noise is going to be there, but I need to like trust God and take care of me.
I feel like I don't know. I don't think you can control how people perceive what you do, but as best as it's possible to just communicate to them.
Yeah.
Because there is no possible way to say you're wrong for resting. So it's just expressing to them, once given the opportunity, because, you know, sometimes people create narratives of you in their heads and then there's nothing that can shake it.
Yeah.
But coming to them, if approached correctly, and regardless, because, you know, you can fix however you speak to people, but just expressing that, hey, I'm not 100 right now. This is the 100 I can give. Or maybe if it's a case where I need to step back so I can be better for the next season. But I feel like if we allow people's narrative of us to get to us, then we're going to be stuck in a state of just doing what we know we should do. And it's going to become routinal and not for ministry anymore.
Yeah, it's the whole idea of service goes out the window.
It's just work.
Yeah.
And not spiritual work.
And I think also it sounds so cliche, but pray about your ministries. Like be in like constant communication with God about the service. Because sometimes it's like, you know, just because the praise and worship is good every single Sunday, so God is in it. I'm good. The people that love the sermon every Sunday, so God is in it. It's good. But like sometimes, like you have to. Well, not sometimes, but you always have to consult Him on it. You always have to be pulling up to His feet, like, yo, God, I need a guidance on this, because everybody else can be clapping, but they can be clapping for the wrong reason. And everybody can be bawling, but they can be bawling for the wrong reason. You know, and so you have to be mindful. And sometimes, even in our eyes, it's good, but it's not what God wants to do.
Yeah.
And so striking the balance also just comes from searching God's heart on the matter. You know, like not just being content with our own predispositions and stuff like that, but instead of like looking to the Holy Spirit to like affirm these things. Yeah, you know? So yeah.
Finding rest in him. And I feel like he will give you a newness after you consulted him. And he will give you fresh perspective and new ways of doing what you thought there was only one way to do.
And I genuinely feel like, because think about the people in ministry, like especially in youth ministry, who like have impacted you greatly, is a passion that shines through that really does it for you. Yeah. You know, like when I think about some people off the top of my head, like the Uncle Craig's and the Auntie Lanias, the Uncle Sanjaytos, like, you know, them business about these things, they're passionate about these things, and it makes you understand that God isn't only going to call you to these things, but He's going to give you a new passion for it.
He equips the people He's called.
Yes. And a lot of times we think about the equipping as well. We think about it like, having the tools.
And the knowledge.
Yeah, but it's like also the hard posture. And it's the hard posture, you know, like, because honestly, there are going to be days that you're going to be weary. But God is going to just find some way to just spark that thing inside of you to like get what you need to get done.
And I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but you could be going through one of the hardest seasons of your life and you open the Bible app and it's a verse that speaks directly to you. And like, I see what you did.
I see what you did. Or like the most random TikTok video ever. And you realize that the TikTok video was like from 2 months ago. And so why is it just
not popping up?
Like, what are you on? What kind of time are you on? Or your friend randomly send you the exact word. Like the other day, one of my friends sent me something that said like, anxiety is not a sin. And like, I didn't even know I needed that until I got it. And I was like, yo, God, I see you. Thanks for that, God, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
He gives us exactly what we need in the most perfect time.
And because He gives us exactly what we need in the most perfect times, we must be intentional with how we go about it. You know, like we can't just be haphazard about it. We have to consult Him. Because if He's intentional towards us, we have to be intentional towards Him.
And then whenever we pray, we should be expectant because He's gonna answer.
Come on.
He's gonna answer.
And so, I guess like, so maybe just put everything into perspective. Like in order for us to achieve that balance, we can't just do it off of natural strength. We can't just do it off of Jayden's strength. It has to be God. Because like you said, like in our weakness, His strength is made perfect. And I love that so much because it makes His strength perfect.
Not half of.
Flawless. You know, so yeah, my schedule is all over the place. Yes, things are chaotic. Yes, my mind, the wheels are consistently turning. But because I give it to Him, He's controlling those things. And He's aligning everything in the way that He thinks will make sense for me. But I have to just give it all to Him.
And I have to trust that His way is the best way. His plan is the best plan.
We just have to say yup.
We just have to say yup.
And on that note, I think we can wrap it up for this week. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah, so honestly, I hope that after hearing us go on and on about balance, you're feeling a little more balanced.
Yeah.
And just remember, like, you know, through the chaos, through everything that you're juggling, like we talked about work and school and church, but there's so much more things.
Yeah.
Family stuff, relationships.
Overall life.
Whatever
it is that you have to deal with.
Yes, and so, it's so cliche, but I must say it because it works for us. Look to God, give it to God, and He will do what needs to be done, right?
Every time.
Yup. Yeah, So thank you guys so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. And, you know, if you're watching on YouTube, comment down below and tell us what has been your experiences like striking the balance as a child of God.